Hello scholars, welcome back. Today we're going to be going over fact families. So if you look at this box right here, we have a lot of little itty bitty boxes inside of this rectangle. Okay, so if I were to count this side, well 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 on this side. Oops, there you go. And then there are, let's count this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 on this side. So if we wanted to know the total of how many itty bitty boxes, how many little boxes are inside, how many of these are inside of this whole entire rectangle, we would just do what? We would multiply 9 times 7, and that is 63. 63. So our fact families would be 7 times 9 equals 63, or you could say 9 times 7 equals 63. Now, in fact families, we can also bring in division. How would division come into play with this? Well, we could say 63 divided by 9 is 7, or we can say 63 divided by 7 is 9. All right, so let's go ahead and move to 3.1, activity 3.1, fractional fact families. So we already know the concept of multiplying two sides to get the total. But what happens when we have a fraction? So for here, right here, we have one box is shaded. So if you count, how many boxes do we have on this side? We have 5, right? So if this represents one whole, okay, if we have 5 boxes on this side, how many are shaded? 1. So 1 out of the 5 are shaded. So this side represents 1/5. Okay? This represents 1/5 as it states here. Now if we look at, I'm going to erase this so we don't get confused. If we look at this side, how many boxes do we have on this side? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 out of the 4, how many are shaded? Well, 1/4, because 1 out of the 4 is shaded. So 1/4 on this side. So we have right here, we have 1/4, and right here we have 1/5. Now if we wanted to find out total, how many boxes are shaded out of this entire box, we would just do, let me write it here, 1/5 times 1/4, just like normal. When we're multiplying the sides, we multiply them together to see what the total is. Well, we're doing that here. 1/5 times 1/4 equals 1/20. So the total shaded is 1 out of 20. Now, sometimes the idea, when division comes into play, it can be a little bit confusing. So I'm going to go ahead and get out my little piece of paper that I already have written up. I have this drawn. So if we look, this is the same as what we had before. We have 1 out of the 5 is shaded, and we have 1 out of the 4 is shaded. Now what happens, we already know that the total, this total equals 1/20. I'm writing sideways, forgive me. My handwriting isn't that great sideways. And right here we said that this was 1/4, and this is 1/5. Okay, now let's go ahead and do the division part up here. So if we started off with 1/20, 1/20, 1/20, and I want to divide by 1/5. Okay, so let's look at all these rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So let's look at the one that is shaded. I'm going to get a different color. Okay. So the one that is shaded is this one right here. Okay. So if we do 1/20 divided by 1/5, because if we look at this side, only this one is shaded, right? If we look at these 5, only this one is shaded. So out of these 5, 1/5 is shaded. So 1/20 divided by 1/5. We are looking at this row right here. Now, out of this row, how many are shaded? 1 out of 4. So if we divide 1/20 by 1/5, the answer is 1 out of 4. You see? So when we take 1/20, the whole thing, 1/20, divided by 1/5, we get 1/4, 1 out of 4.